Greetings everyone. I'm Mark and I love coding. I want to apologize for my absence since I last posted. The COVID thing hit a lot of people hard. I eventually lost my property and my income. And I was working on these videos inside my little studio here, which is actually a school bus converted to an RV. And in the summertime, it just gets unbearably hot in here. I'm not asking for people to send me money, but if you'd like to help and you have an Android phone, you can check out the Google Play Store and do a search for MarkCosmic, one word, capital M-A-R-K, capital C-O-S-M-I-C, and you can find some of the apps. I have uploaded 6 apps, and I'll also leave a link below. The exciting news is that the Processing Foundation has released a full version of Processing 4 now. It is out of beta. And if you can see on my screen, one of the cool things that they had done was they put in a theme selector. So you can look under Tools, under Theme Selector, and you can choose some different colors on what you want your IDE, or what you want your IDE to look like. But also down below, you can read about how to create your own theme and then save themes to the sketchbook for editing. Play with that on your own time. I did, and I'm glad they put this in. It's really kind of cool. So one of the things that the reason why I wasn't into Processing 4, I described in previous videos, was that in Processing 4, my heater's coming on, so bear with the noise. In Processing 4, it was not Android compatible at the time in the beta form, and now it is Android compatible, so I'm really happy about that. But one of the things that it can't do is it cannot use the default sound library. So if you've been following me and using the Minim library, you're going to be all good with sound. And if you're tried to do it with the sound library, the default, which you probably could have been successful with some versions of Windows 10 and Windows 7, you're probably going to have to change it if you want to use Processing 4. If you don't have it downloaded yet, go to processing.org and download Processing 4. Now, among the many things that they've done in Processing 4, which I can tell you I don't know all of them, one of the things that they had done is they put in a function called windowRatio. And what that does is allow you to resize your window, and everything within it adjusts correctly and accordingly. What you can see here in the main tab, in the previous version of our random music player, down here where I was saying width divided by 1.5 and height divided by 15, and so that's the reason why I was doing that, so any size window that you wrote, it would all fit correctly if you changed the number up here without having to go through and change all this. This still works, but you can do hard coding now. Along the way to getting where we're going to get with the buttons, we are going to refactor our previous sketch to get what we want out of it. And we are going to use the windowRatio so we can resize the window. Right now, we can't do that. All that said, I think we can get started in our code. One of the first things I want to do is just talk about how we're going to do this. We're going to, first I'm going to run the previous code. But before that, what do we got to do? We got to save this to our next version. We're not going to alter this one. And for those of you who don't have it, there's a link below to the previous one. And so we're going to call this Random Music Player Part 5. Okay, so we're going to alter this one here. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do a lot of refactoring, and I'm going to change a couple of things the way we set up. I'm going to add another tab. One of the first things I want to add is a tab that I want to call init, as in initialize. And the reason why I like to do this is when you're creating a lot of variables and you want to initialize them, well, right now we're pretty much doing it all right here. We've defined them up here, which makes them global, and over here we're going to initialize them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just taking all this right here and I'm going to cut it out of there, and I'm going to put it over in our init. Control V, and in this init we're going to create a function called init. They'll get you every time. And we're going to add to this as it goes along. It just makes it easier when you're flipping between tabs to get where you left off, as opposed to scrolling up and down here. And so what we're going to do over here is we're just going to call up that function init. Okay, and as you can see, let's control save it, that it doesn't error out. It still allows us to continue. We click on it. Now, this is a default library, which the way we wrote it, it's defaulting to this. We can choose a different library, which because of the library I had picked, I've been getting flagged for copyright infringement type thing, and so I changed our music list. We're gonna go, oops, click that a little too fast for you to see. And all the songs in this list are royalty free. But anyway, let's stop this. One of the things that we're going to change right now is exactly that. Let's go all the way down to where it takes place, right in here. Let me stretch this out a little bit more. Right here. This actually calls up our folder, our select window, so we can choose the text file that we created. And it was bothering me where it was coming up. I was trying to figure out ways to start it in a folder that I would like to be in. But in that, I realized that, you know, what if, like I say, I want to start out in the C folder, C drive. What if you don't have that? And so in fooling around, I found and accidentally found something that is really, really interesting. If down here where we have, this is how it goes, where we have data file text, if we add right in there, it's really strange, 2 periods and a colon. Watch when we run this, what happens. We're going to run it twice so you can see the full effect. We're going to click on it, and oh look, it's in the last folder that we selected. So say we change that folder to documents, and I'm going to load just a random text file, this one right here, and it doesn't have any songs in it. And if I click to play, we are going to get an error. And you can see down here we got a null point exception error. There is a reason for that, which my son actually discovered. And before we continue, I'm going to show you that error. It's actually right on this line right here. As you can see up here, by the way, my son's name is Max. He's 7. He's going to be 8 on the 9th of January. So right up here, you can see we're testing to make sure that the song exists. If you've been following these videos, you kind of get an idea where we're at. Right here, we also check to make sure the song exists. And right here, we don't. And that is why it errored out, because there was no song that existed. And when it came to here, it didn't have any choice. Now, there was 2 ways to do this. We can just add it right here. But I felt the better way was we're going to refactor it all anyway, so we might as well do it a kind of cool way, less typing. We're going to type in if song is not equal to null. And then we're going to do everything else in between, which brings us down to here. Okay, if it's not equal to null, that means we can just take this out here, delete that, this out here, delete that. And so it's not going to do any of these conditions unless there's a song that exists in song, a name that exists in song. If it's null, it will not do any of these. There. And to show you that, we're going to save it and select again. It's in the last folder we looked in. And we're going to go ahead and pick carousel and click on that. And then now nothing happens. It's actually going through a loop. It cannot find it. We did not basically make a contingent so if it doesn't find it. Okay, now that error fixed, we're going to talk about the next thing, which is refactoring using the new windowRatio. And we're going to set that to the same as our screen size. Now, as I've mentioned before, that I have a 4K display, and if you have a 1080p, I suggest you divide these numbers by 2. But in order for this to work, I'm going to put it right here. You want to type in surface dot set resizable to true. You see, I spelled it right. It looks like it's right. So now, there's still a couple of more changes we have to make this work. But let's take a quick look at it the way we wrote it. Play button. You know, when we change the window size, it's still not quite right. But there's a reason for that. Let us continue. What we need to do to make this work is anywhere, let me make this a little wider, where we used height and width to do this math. Yes, we can hard code it, but rather than go through all that, what we're going to do, let me see, is we're going to take everything here, and instead we're going to put the letter R in front of it for radius. R, 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 R. Now again, we can take all these numbers that we've done, and let me go over into init and do the same thing. R, 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 R. And then we want to go over into, let's go over into visuals, because I remember that there's use here. R, 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 R. Yeah, I sound like a pirate. Yeah, I get that. Let me see if I can make this just a little bit wider without covering up my face. All right, and R. Okay, now, if I got them all, I'm pretty sure that I did. Double check again, all the way through the end. Yeah, well, let's just save it. Control S and run it and see. Again, if it worked, now you see a whole different result here. Clicked on it. Let's go into library. Let's go into music. Let's go into playlists. And the idea of what I was trying to figure out, which I accidentally stumbled upon, and I didn't find any documentation for it actually, was most of the programs and apps you use when you open up a select folder file type thing, it always kind of remembers the last place you were in. But for some reason, I couldn't get processing to do it. And it was just by a fluke that I discovered that, you know, happy accident. And we click on our window, and you can see everything's functioning. If we stretch it out, even if, let's see if it works when we do full screen. Oh yeah. All right. Oh, that's not right. There's something wrong. Let's see if we can find that real quick. X. Let's go. We know that's over in here. Let's see. What did I miss? What did I miss? Okay, so what's actually wrong with this, and we will fix it, is we create a for loop for the size of the buffer of the music. And as the loop processes, it's starting at 0.0, or the 0 index of the buffer of the song, and akins it to a screen location. We have to change that. And what we need to do is we're going to use one of my favorite functions. And I use it a lot, and you might find it very, very useful. We used it earlier on up here in the code. It's the map function. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable, a float variable, and I'm going to call it wave 1. And then I'm going to make that equal to our map function, because we want to map it to the size of the screen, the width of the screen, instead, so the location is mapped according to the width of the screen, not according to the actual index and a pixel location. That was fine. Once we resize our sketch window, it's out the window. And so here we are. We're going to type map. And what we want to do, as we did previously, is we're going to set what we want to map, which is going to be the I variable, our location on the x-axis, and we are going to set its range, which we set earlier as to 0, and the length of it would be song dot buffer size. Oh yeah, another really nice thing that Processing 4 does is it gives you suggestions, and so you can double click on your suggestion and it types it out for you. And I'm going to say that I want that, the size, which is giving me a number, but that's not starting at a 0 index. That's saying that it's the size of, say it's 1,000, and that means the first location according to it is 1, but we're starting at 0 location, so what we want to do is subtract 1 from it, minus 1. Now we're going to define our screen width, and it's going to be from 0, and the width of the screen, we're going to call it R width, because it's going to change, right? WIDTH. And then we're going to change all these I's here to W1. 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 Let me see. That would be W1. W1. And I think that will cover it. But let's try. Let's again, Control S to save. Play it. Click on the window. Remember, again, it's going into the last folder that we opened. We're going to hit select our playlist 01 and click on it. Click on it again. Click on it again. Now let's resize it and see what happens. Does it stay in the center? Yes. Error fixed. All right. So we've done a few things here at this point in time. We've made our screen resizable. We've fixed a couple of errors that, thanks to my son, we found. At that point in time, I can end this video. In the next video, we're going to dive right into making buttons. And the reason why I'm stopping it here is I'm trying to not make this too long. And what I've done in every video so far, that at the end of the video, we still have a functional random music player. And so in the next video, what we're going to do here is we're going to work out what we're doing in this current window. When we start play, there's two things that happen here. We click on the window to pick our playlist. Then we click on the window again to start the playlist, and click again for the next song, and again for the next song. So the plan here is to replace those with buttons. And so the way I see it, we're going to need two buttons to begin with. First off is we're going to need the button to select the playlist, and secondly would be a button to randomly play the music. And later on, another video, what we're going to do is create 3 more buttons. One of them is one that I think is kind of important, a pause button. And another one is going to be a repeat button. Say we get to the end of our playlist and we just want it to repeat. And again, repeat randomly. We're going to put a button in for that. And then an absolutely redundant button, but we're going to do it anyway, is an exit button. We do have the X on the top of our window to which we can end the sketch, but it's kind of cool to also have an exit button. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will post a link again to this video or to this sketch down below, and stay tuned for the next one. And thank you again for watching. Everybody, please try to be nice to one another and try to be happy. Thank you.